What is going on, guys? Getting in the green. Little NBA Friday action for you here. We got another big slate on our hands, man. I think we got 10 games tonight, so we're going to try and cruise through these teams real quick, point out some big injury news you want to monitor, and then some good plays for each team. So let's start it off, man. First game of the night, we got Charlotte at Cleveland. One of the lower scoring totals of the whole slate, but let's get started with Charlotte. And obviously the first name that comes to mind here is LaMelo Ball at $7,700. Had a monster game one. Now I will point out that it's looking likely Rozier comes back tonight, which takes a little usage out of LaMelo's hands, man. But I think we could expect some similar stat lines. Maybe not as many points, but we all know LaMelo Ball stuffs the stat sheet when he's rolling. So yeah, I mean, 7,700, he's not a must-play for me, but I do think LaMelo Ball is a good spot here. I'm not too interested in Hayward at 7,000. Rozier, I kind of want to see his minutes before I trust him at all. Bridges, not the worst play, but $6,800. They didn't really give him a discount. He's coming off like 36 fantasy points, nothing crazy. This team and in this game environment, I'm not super excited about. So, take your stabs at LaMelo Ball, but for the most part, I'm going to be fading a lot of Charlotte and this game in general. There's not much that really catches my eye here, guys. Cleveland at home here, and let's just see what the line is on this game. So, Charlotte's a 2.5-point favorite, and Cleveland, man, you're paying for their guards, man, and I don't know why. I'm not paying for Sexton. I'm not paying for Garland. They got too many big men. I took a stab at Markkanen. He didn't play a bad game, but he didn't get it done either, and he's all the way up to $5,000 here. Evan Mobley was probably their best player, even though he didn't necessarily do anything crazy. But, man, the guy kind of stuffed the stat sheet as a rookie, man. 17 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal, and a block. Played a bunch of minutes. 41 fantasy points. The problem is he's $6,900, and where it's not the worst spot to be at power forward center, and one of those, you can't get wrong positions. I don't know if Evan Mobley against Charlotte's really where I want to go. Not that Plumlee is going to offer too much resistance down there for him, but yeah, I don't know. I think if anybody, Evan Mobley for Cleveland, but like I said, I'm probably going to be fading this first game of the night pretty much. So next, we're looking at Indiana at Washington, and this game I think could be a blowout, and that scares me a little. So Beal is out, just so you guys know, for Washington. With that being said, if this does stay close, I think Sabonis is a smash play. And I like Duarte. I mean, Brogdon's a great play too at $7,500. Prime position, but I mean, you really got to hope that Washington can keep this thing semi-close, and I don't know if they can. That scares me. If this was a good game, and Sabonis is a great play at 9,000, Brogdon at 7,500, and Duarte at 6,000 is just a good spot, man. So that's kind of where I'm at on the Indiana side of this thing. And they are playing on the road. They just came off a double overtime that kind of skewed things there with Boston. But these guys score, man. I do like Duarte. I do like Sabonis. I do like Brogdon. But yeah, with Beal out here for Washington, man, this could get out of hand real quick. I will say with Beal out, Dinwiddie at 5,600 is a must play for me. The guy's going to get serious usage for as long as they play their big dogs. Harrell and Gafford kind of split, and it looked like Harrell was the better of the two, but I don't trust either of them at this point. So for me, I mean, if you want to take a stab at Nito kind of filling in there, that's not a bad place to go at $3,900. Outside of that, man, with this game script kind of looking like a blowout here, I'd be wary of taking the big dogs there for Indiana. But Dinwiddie's in a good spot for Washington. Otherwise, we're kind of moving on in the night. So this next game is the lowest total of the whole slate. We've got the Knicks at the Magic. The Knicks slightly skewed. And I think I spoke incorrectly earlier. It was not Indiana in that double overtime game. It was the Knicks. And we had Julius Randle go off. Fournier, pretty big game. I don't know if I necessarily trust that guy at $6,500 to repeat what he just did. But I think Randle's a smash spot there. Not liking the guards here at all. I think you could definitely take a stab at, a Mitchell Robinson at 5,600 at center. I don't see Orlando offering too much there to stop him, and the guy just cleans up the boards, man. And I know it's going to be a slow game, but, with lower scoring, you do get a lot of misses. The guy had like 17 rebounds last game. He's a stud, man, and not a bad spot to go there at center if you really want to kind of pivot off some of the top guys. Outside of that, that's pretty much it for the Knicks, man. I'm not super impressed with them. And Randall, Barrett really control the rock for them. Obviously Fournier had the monster game, but like I said, I don't necessarily see that continuing. So let's head into Orlando. And all right, we got a starting five for Orlando up. Looks like we've got Suggs, Wagner, Carter Jr., Bamba, and Cole Anthony. The only thing I like for this Orlando team, man, is I do like the price point on Wagner. The guy looked good as a rookie. First game, comes out, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, a steal. Did 6 of 9 shooting, got the threes up, and he didn't hit them. I just think he's got room to grow here. But again, 4,500, I don't love this game flow here, so I'm not taking any of the other guys there for Orlando. But if you want to stab a spot at a good little $4,500 rookie here at Franz Wagner, not the worst place you could go tonight. Again, though, I kind of told you guys this 2 days ago. When you get these monster slates, man, you better love your positions or it might not be pretty, man. So this next game is going to get the hype, man. And we got Brooklyn at Philly. And I'll say we definitely need to keep an eye on Embiid's injury. But let's start with Brooklyn, man. Harden costs more than Durant, and I know he didn't score as much as Durant in the last game, but I love Harden in this spot, man, for a guy that's just going to do it all. Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant, and he's healthy and he looks good. I got no problem going there either. Of the two, man, I think Harden does more across the stat sheet. And, this game's going to go back and forth, man. I think, Brooklyn's really going to bring it to Philly, and I think Philly's got enough firepower with Embiid to keep this thing close. So, Patty Mills was kind of the darling there of opening day. I don't know if he goes 7 for 7 from 3 again, so I don't really love his spot here, man. And we kind of realize that the rest of these aging veterans they have all just evenly split minutes. So Harden, Durant, Irving still out. Can't go wrong either way there at the top, man. Philly now. I got burned with Embiid because he was in a blowout there in the first game, and now he's kind of hurt, so I'm a little scared of going there. They say he's questionable. Yeah, I'll play some of them because he could have a monster night here against Brooklyn, but might not be playing as much as Embiid as I normally would. Hold offish there on Embiid. I do like Tobias Harris in this spot, man, at 40. He scored 41.5 points. He's $7,200. So Tobias Harris is definitely in play in what could be a shootout here. The news, obviously, we're following is if Embiid is out, Drummond is a smash spot at 5,500. If Embiid plays, I kind of like Mitchell Robinson at that same price point a little bit more. The must play, though, Maxey, $5,300. Looked great in his start there. So that's a no-brainer for me. Maxey's a go. Embiid, 50-50 on him. Drummond will be a go if Embiid can't play. Tobias Harris, I do like. Maybe not the best spot that I've seen at $7,200, but you can't go wrong with Harris here. He looked great rebounding in game one. He's in a prime spot here in what should be a back-and-forth kind of shootout game. Let's move on. We got Toronto-Boston, and this is an interesting game. So same injuries here for Toronto. Nothing's really changed. With Siakam out, we're kind of looking at Van Fleet, who had a really poor game, and they got absolutely trounced. So Van Fleet, OG Anunoby, maybe some Scotty Barnes, who everyone was on. I'm just not seeing much here that I love, man. I just don't think Toronto's this, powerhouse team. They kind of spread it around. Nobody really took over as like the guy. And I see him struggling here, man. And I think Boston looked good. And Boston's got a lot of interesting spots for you to go to. So let's see. We've got, Tatum, and then Brown had that monster first game when everyone, was off of him because he might not play. He was going to have some cardio issues from the COVID break. That guy looked dialed in. And now, look, these stats are a little skewed. Double overtime game, but, Robert Williams had a monster game. Grant Williams at his price really got it done for you. I think there's a lot of spots you can go to here, man, and you can't go wrong. I'm going to be honest, I think I go Brown over Tatum, save the $500. Robert Williams, not a bad spot here. And then Grant Williams at 4,100 is always live if you really need to take a stab here, though. I could see Boston blowing this Toronto team out, though, and that scares me a little bit. Let's move into the next one. This one's an interesting game. New Orleans at Chicago. And we still got Zion out. We still got Josh Hart out here for New Orleans. So we're going to really be looking at Brandon Ingram, who I don't know if he makes value at that price point of 7,500, but Ingram's definitely the guy right now for this team. I'm a little more interested in Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 6,500. I think the guy looked really good. He's at starting point guard there now. And he does it all, man. He can stuff the stat sheet. And I know he was like everybody's favorite DFS play last year when there was injuries. And so in this spot, man, I think he's looking good. Graham scored pretty decent fantasy points at 5,500. It's not the worst place you could go. Not too high on Valanciunas right now. And especially against the Chicago team who, looked balanced, man. And let's get into this team because, Zach LaVine goes off here game one. Vukovic, pretty good game, like 40 fantasy points, nothing, to write home about, but he played his role. DeRozan, Lonzo Ball. They just got so many guys. Caruso. Patrick Williams was a complete bust, so I won't be playing that guy ever again. I think you're getting a decent price on these guys, man. I think LaVine at 8,000 is – the guy's a gamer. Big-time fantasy scorer right now. Vukovic at 7,800 is not a bad play at center. I probably won't be touching too much DeRozan or Ball. I just don't think they're going to get enough usage going. So for me, LaVine, Vukovic here at the top for Chicago. The problem is, there's some monster games here in the middle, towards the late end of this night. So you really want to keep some spots open for some of these guys. So this next game in particular, we got OKC at Houston. Houston plays zero defense, so just note that. Shea Alexander, man, is too cheap on this slate at $6,700 against this Houston defense. He is going to do whatever he wants. Outside of Shea, though, this team is pretty thin. I will say I do like Josh Giddey here at 4,100. I think he could get you value. But this isn't a very deep OKC team. They're in this like rebuild mode. I do like Giddey here. And that's about it. But Shea he's way too cheap, man. You're not going to get him at 6,700. He'll be 8,000 here in a couple days probably. So jump on the Shea at $6,700 here. Must play. Running it back on Houston. Look, Kevin Porter played about as bad as you could play, and I'm going to just avoid him at 7,300 because of that, man. I need to see you perform. OKC plays decent defense. So of these Houston players, I'm probably not going to be too high on Christian Wood either, just because centers, I've got some that I like. I will say Jalen Green here is a good spot. And, $4,800 for the guy that didn't play that great, but really started, he's got the green light here on a rebuild in what could just be a competitive game. I like some Jalen Green here to run it back on the other side of Shea. So for me, it's going to be Alexander for OKC. and Green here for Houston. Next, we got San Antonio, Denver, and I don't really know what to think about this San Antonio team. I know Murray, White got it done, kind of, game one. Denver's tend to kind of push the pace a little on you, so might have good game flow here. Keldon Johnson did not get it done. Lonnie Walker looked pretty good. Very balanced. This kind of just the typical Spurs you're used to seeing, man. They're balanced. No one guy gets insane usage. I mean, it'd be Murray if anybody. But I'm not playing too much Spurs tonight, man. I do like going over to this Denver side of things, though. And Jokic, who the guy scored 50 fantasy points in a pretty decisive victory. They kind of really brought it to Phoenix, man. My concern here would be a blowout. Let me see what the line is on that game because, that's a good spot here for Denver. Denver's minus 7.5. And, yeah, you've got to really be concerned, with them just kind of benching him, man, late, especially saving his legs. No Murray. They're not going to overwork this guy right now. They're the biggest favorite of the night, so I would definitely kind of worry here about a spot for the blowout to kind of burn you. So let's keep moving. Not a fan of Porter. Not playing Barton, man. So, yeah, if it's Jokic or nothing on this team for me. Let's move on, though. This next game, great 7 p.m. game to have. Phoenix at the Lakers. You've got Paul had a pretty good first game there. Devin Booker underperformed. Ayton had a tough, task on his hands, I would say, with Jokic there in the first opening game. So, yeah, Crowder, Bridges. There's not much here, man. Against the Lakers team, though, that looked pretty lackadaisical defensively, I could see Booker really kind of blowing up in this spot, but I'm not going to touch it at 8,200. On the Lakers side of things, LeBron, Anthony Davis both just did work, man. And I'm inclined to say I like LeBron to repeat it a little bit more, and that's why he's $200 more at 9,100. And then you got Anthony Davis at 8,900. Both guys are great. I wouldn't even come close to touching Westbrook, Carmelo, Bazemore, Howard, none of these guys. So it's the two big dogs or nothing on the Laker team. They just absorb so much usage that it's hard to go anywhere else, man. I like both of those guys on this slate, though. I got no problem going there. Now, this last game doesn't necessarily have the names that you are thinking, but we got Utah at Sacramento, and I'm just projecting this game is going to be an absolute shootout. Back and forth. Utah tries to play a little bit of defense, but Sacramento doesn't even attempt to. Mitchell, not a bad spot here, 8,700. Gobert, 7,900. They got Clarkson, Conley. Bogdanovich looked pretty good. He's only 5,600. I love that spot for this guy. Royce O'Neal. Where is Conley, 5,700. Not a bad spot, man, if he can get hot here. Yeah, so for me, I'm looking at this Utah team, and, Mitchell's a good play. Gobert's not a bad center, even though, again, I've got some center places I'd rather go. But Bogdanovich at 5,600, man. He scored 32.5 fantasy points in the first game. He had 22 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal. He played 28 minutes. Look, in a game that might just be a shootout, man, where we're just going back and forth threes, you could definitely do worse than Bogdanovich down there at 5,600. On the other side of this thing, Sacramento, man, Harrison Barnes looked really good. You got Barnes. Rashawn Holmes was a beast at center at 6,400. Not a bad spot for this guy again. And then you got Fox, who was a little bit overshadowed by Barnes, but had a great game. And at $8,400, I think he is live here tonight to really go off, man. He scored 27, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, 36 minutes, and what should just be a back-and-forth game. Barnes had the 36, but if, a little bit more of that ends up going to Fox. I like both of these guys. I think this is a game you should really target. I think you're going to get off the chalk here too, man. I think a lot of people are lining up to play, that Indy Washington game, Brooklyn Philly especially. I'm probably going to be bringing my chalk down here to the end of the night and try and play catch up. So that's where I'm at on DraftKings. But like you guys know, I am really shifting over to Superdraft. And let's just run through these guards real quick for you guys. So we've got Harden at a 1x. You got Westbrook. I wouldn't touch. Beal out. Irving out. Donovan Mitchell, not the worst play there against Sacramento at 1.2. Booker's a 1.2 against the Lakers. And here we go. Shea Alexander, 1.2. I like him. LaMelo Ball's a 1.2. I don't know if I love it with Rozier back. Lonzo, no. Fox is a good play here, 1.25, I think. Probably not touching Sexton, Rosen, Walker, Brogdon's not a bad play at 1.3. Not touching Chris Paul, Garland, Murray. Levine at 1.3, again, not another bad play. Schroeder, no thank you. Van Fleet, no thank you. Healed. Walls out. Kevin Porter, Kobe White, Gary Trent. And we're scrolling here, man. It looks pretty top heavy here at guard so far, but I'm sure we're going to find some values down here. Here we go. Dinwiddie at 1.5 is probably a must play for me on Superdraft. Halliburton, Monk, Pizarro, Dragic, Fournier. Look, if Fournier does it again, obviously at 1.6 is great. I like Maxey right here again at 1.6. I expect that guy to really, really turn it up here. So I do like Maxey at 1.6, especially in that game. Let's go. Suggs, Quickie. Jalen Green, 1.65. I don't know. I definitely I would lead Maxey over Green, but Green's not a bad play. Nickeil Alexander-Walker at 1.65 is not a bad play either. And, yeah, Giddey maybe, not really. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody down here in the 2Xs for you guys. Nito, but he's not going to get enough, man. So that's kind of where we're at. Yeah, real top-heavy guards. And then take a couple shots there in like the 1.6 range. Forwards, though, you got to make some decisions here at forward, man. So you got Durant, you got Sabonis, who I was loving Sabonis. The blowout worries me a little bit there now. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, great plays. 1.05 on David, 1.15 on LeBron. I love that spot, man. You're going to give me 10% more points than Davis? That's ridiculous. So LeBron's in play, definitely. Randall at 1.2. Jaylen Brown's at 1.2. I'd take Randall. Tobias Harris, I think, at 1.25 could have a monster night. Levine's not a bad play here either at 1.3. Kind of depends where you want to put the guy. The problem with forwards, though, is you're going to have some decisions to make down here as you get a little deeper here into the multipliers. Evan Mobley's a 1.6, not a terrible spot for him there. Let's keep going. Oh, here we go. 1.85 on Mitchell Robinson. That's a smash spot. Might use him at center, but smash spot there regardless of where you want to play that guy, forward or center. Duarte, not a bad spot here at 1.9x again, man. The guy looked good, and they haven't adjusted for him yet. So Duarte is in a good spot there in Indiana. Franz Wagner, I don't think he gets enough for you at 2x even. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at here for forwards for you guys. Oh, you got Grant Williams at 2x again. I don't think he gets there for you though. So yeah, I think Duarte at 1.9, good spot, man. I think up here at Mitchell Robinson at 1.85 is a great spot, and then you got to kind of pick up top who you really think is gonna. I'll probably be leaning a little heavier on LeBron, but who you really think is gonna get it done there. Then at center. We're still waiting on the news for Embiid, who's always in play. Sabonis, Anthony Davis, Jokic at 1.05 is a great spot again. Randall, I do like here at 1.2. I think that's a good spot for him. Rudy Gobert, 1.25. Vukovic, against New Orleans. Not a terrible spot, man. 1.25, and I like to keep it up at the top here. Let me see what we got. Unless you really want to go slide in that Mitchell Robinson play and get an extra forward there, that wouldn't be the worst decision to make. Because I don't think any of these top guys are must plays. So if you want to go Mitchell Robinson down here at 1.85 at center, that's definitely live for you guys. So look, hit the like, subscribe. Sorry, I was a little all over the place. We had a lot of games I was trying to slam in here before we get started tonight. But hit the like to subscribe every night. We're going to kind of bring you some basketball.